Good morning, everyone. Let's get this thing going here. The first thing we want to do is, this is an owners-only meeting, so if there are any non-owners in here, I have to ask you to leave. I recognize a lot of owners here, so we have established a quorum. And some of you folks might not know, this is Ron Merritt. He's the newest member of the board. He's our member at large. So I think the rest of us, you know. Let's start off. It's at this point, anybody has cell phones, please put them on mute or off, please. So we don't have people getting phone calls during the meeting. Right now. And we'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'd like to, at this point, thank Hank, Muff, and John for doing the AV work back there. Thank you guys very much. And any new owners in the audience that would like to come up and introduce themselves to everybody, this is the time to do that. Anyone? Nope? Okay. Okay, Denise is going to do the meeting rules, so we'll do that now.
Good morning, everybody. As we stated in the past, we're asking you to not shout out questions. Let us get through our agenda, and then we will entertain questions at the end. There are sheets of paper back there at the table. You're welcome to write them down and bring them up here. Those will be addressed first, and then we will have a 2-minute window that people will be able to talk at the end of the meeting. We won't be able to continue the meeting if there's yelling, screaming, disrespect from the audience. The board has a right to stop a meeting at any time if we feel someone is being disrespectful and ask them to leave. Thank you.
The voting is officially closed at this point. The voting committee is back tabulating the votes right now. And while they're doing that, we're going to go ahead and proceed with the meeting, with the agenda. 455 is the final count. 455 votes were cast, so that's good. That's a good turnout. So thank everybody for voting. Okay, next will be Denise.
Denise again. Denise. I just need to make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting held on May 20th and August 26th, the board. Second? Any opposed? Okay, that is passed. Those minutes will be will be posted to the Rents website. And then executive session meetings. The board has held a lot of executive session meetings lately for various reasons. Some were to discuss third-party contracts, the cafe, the internet, et cetera, et cetera. Some were at members' requests, and we also have held several meetings with individual owners regarding either violations of our CC&Rs or delinquencies. We then had to meet again and determine any actions that we would take to impose sanctions regarding any of these violations. So, I hope you all understand that we're working very, very hard to address as many issues as we can. There's just a lot on our plates right now. I will mention the sanctions that have or may be taking place soon as Bob finishes discussing the delinquencies. But I would like to make a motion at this time to the board to formally approve the executive sessions since May. We have not had a formal meeting to have that formally approved since May. All approved? Okay. I'll now turn the meeting over to Bob, who will discuss treasurer stuff.
Good morning. In case you haven't picked up a copy of the financials, it's on the just as you enter in the door. Everything I'm about to tell you, you can read, but a lot of times people don't understand the financials. Sometimes I don't either. I'm pleased to announce, though, that as of August month end, well, first of all, let me tell you that the income statement is divided between operating expenses and income and reserve income and expenses. It's important to keep, whenever we spend a dollar, it's important to identify as to how it should be identified. As of August 31st, our operating profit was $42,000. That was year to date. Our reserve loss basically says we spent this much money. We lost $76,000. So our net profit for the HOA, or in this case, a loss, would be $34,400. And that's up through the end of August. Don't worry that it's a loss. We got a couple more months to get things back in order again. One of the other things that we did within the past month, a couple of months, we kept track of the delinquencies, and we honed in on those lots who owed more than 2 months worth of dues. We thought that maybe there might be reasons, and we weren't going to really address those until they became more than 2 months delinquent. There were more than a dozen owners that were delinquent, and we asked them to go into the office and meet with the board and to discuss getting current or setting up a payment plan. And I'm pleased to announce that of those 12 lots that were delinquent, 2 or 3 of them became current immediately. They didn't want to go into the meeting with us. 2 people just didn't show up at all. And the rest of them, we agreed on payment plans. So we got positive resolution by addressing the delinquencies, and I just want to promise you that this is something that I will pay close attention to, and it will not get out of hand for anyone else. If, when we hold an executive session and we settle on a payment plan, and if the payment plan is violated for any reason, all of our agreements are right out the door. They get turned over to collections. If for some reason that doesn't work, then to encourage owners to become current with their dues, we impose sanctions. Denise is going to address what that really means to everyone in a couple of minutes. One other item that I wanted to talk about was, if I can find my paper, is that with all of the activity that there has been for the past several months, I had a report run from Equity Management of all of the reserve expenses that we had since June through August. And I'm going to give you a list of projects. I'm going to identify the projects and how much reserve money was spent on those projects between the months of June and August. We had landscaping in the front, which I believe is that complete now? We spent $28,000 on the landscaping. Wells and tanks. And by the way, let me go back and explain what reserve expenses are. The HOA has common area property, and if we spend money to maintain that, to repair, replace, or restore, the 3 R's, it's considered a reserve expense, and that's what I'm going to give you now. The wells and tanks, the basic category for keeping up the wells and the holding tanks, we spent $40,000. The restaurant, we spent $51,000, and that was quite a bit, and I'm surprised it came in at that low of an amount, but that's what it cost. Still not done? Okay. Drains and sewers, in anticipation of the 100-year flood, or just to take care of the annual flood, we spent $27,000. The fitness room, which I haven't used yet, but I've looked inside and it looks very, very nice. 1,000 times better than what it was before. We spent $23,000 on that one. And we also bought a piece of equipment. It was a lawnmower. I think it was one of these big Kubota lawnmowers, and that was over $32,000. And that's it.
Okay. In the process of when we did meet in executive sessions with owners regarding either delinquencies and/or other violations, and we have had to sanction a few. Some of those sanctions were the entry gate remote was disabled, and they have to check in at security or they have to check in through the renter side every time they come through. That also includes if they happen to have a renter on their lot. Sounds really great. Well, we should let them have the renter so they can pay their dues, but sometimes they don't. So they're getting money and they're still not paying in a couple of cases. So they will have to meet their renters every single time. If the renter goes to town for grocery, the owner will have to escort them to their lot. So it's going to be really tough for them to rent their lot if they don't keep current. Neither owners or guests will have access to the common area bathhouses. They will not have access to the common area pools or the golf course, and they will not be able to attend meetings and/or events in either clubhouse. So we're not trying to be mean to people. We have to have something that we can sink our teeth in to get people to comply. So that's what we're doing, and it seems to be working. Mike, I'll let you talk about desert landscaping and well updates.
As I'm sure you've all seen, the desert scaping outside the small clubhouse and on the entry is done. There are some fine adjustments I'd like to see done to it. So a couple places I would like to see improved a little bit, but for the most part, 99% done. I think it looks great myself. Now, if you're looking from the inside of the resort towards the guard shack, to the right there, that area where it looks kind of crappy right now with it's dirty and weeds, that's another project we're going to be starting probably, I think, next week, I believe, where there'll be a gate there, which will allow access for the maintenance building when that gets done, and we'll have desert scape on both sides of the road going to that area. So that landscaping will be done hopefully shortly. We're going to handle that internally, so we want to hire that out. Our maintenance people, they feel, have learned enough about how to do the desert scape on their own, so we want to pay extra money to do a contract on that. So that'll be starting here shortly. Okay. Well 11 is the one up on top of the hill by the water tank, is pumping wonderfully. It's supplying us with a lot of water. 10 and 11 both are both working well. No issues there. We do have an issue though with the storage tanks that we bought. We have them already, and we're going to put them up by the big water tank, which will be backups for our big tank, so we can take the big tank out of service it, which hasn't been done in years and years and years. The problem being that the county is holding us up on that process. So we're waiting for permits from the county to come so we can get the additional tanks installed, and they'll back up our big water tank. So that's happening soon too. Hopefully, I mean, it's out of our hands. The county's got it now. So where else are we at here? Let's go to the maintenance building next, since we were talking about that, and Ron is pretty much in charge of that program, so he's going to go ahead and discuss that with you a little bit.
All right, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? I'm new to the board, of course. Most of you don't know me, but I have an extensive background in construction. I'm still working in the working world. I've been 30 years in industrial projects of one kind or another, so I'm very familiar with what it's going to take to get this maintenance building done. But make no mistake, it's a big project, and the cost is substantial, so we want to make sure we do it in the right way. I went back and looked at the February meeting video that went through the history of the building and putting it in the location in the backside of the site and where the existing maintenance area is and how problematic that was. So I encourage you, if you're interested in refreshing your memory on the history of it, to go back and look at that video. It's on the website. But it's not going to go back there. It's too problematic. There are too many obstructions, easements, and plus the county isn't going to allow us to put it back there. So it's going to go in the front of the site, in the location where the dog park is and the property immediately behind it. The dog park will have to be relocated. The RV storage, that's another project. So those two projects will happen later. The board will have to address those. So the new location basically puts us at a start-over point. The contract with the building was quite old. It had expired. I've talked to the building supplier, and they've been willing to give us a good portion of our deposit monies towards a new contract for a new building, same dimensions, same spec. Otherwise, it's upgraded to the new building code. Of course, the building code had changed since we initiated that, so there's a slight upcharge for that. And current steel prices, it's typical with these buildings that the steel prices float until you actually take delivery of your building. So that all has to be worked out. I've got a new bid in that we're evaluating, and we'll go through that and make sure that it's square with what we want to do. Our goal for this project is to have a groundbreaking before the end of the year, and a lot has to happen for that to take place. The next steps I have here are we need to secure an engineer or an architect who will have to conduct a survey of the site and verify that the building will fit on that site and how it will be oriented. They'll have to do a layout and rendering. Then we'll go for permits and get the county to approve what we're doing. Then we can finalize the building and issue an approval for it to go to manufacture. And at that point, you can't change it anymore. And then we'll start the foundation work. And then we'll go from there, erecting the building when it arrives, and tying in the utilities and doing the interior, all those things. So there's a lot of work in front of us to get it going. It's been on the back burner for quite a while, but I'm hoping we get it moving. To help do that, I would like to form a small committee of persons in the membership that may have a construction background, or they may have experience in running their own shop for a long time and are very familiar with how it should be laid out inside. If you'd like to contribute to that effort, please see me after the meeting or send me an email or stop by lot 420, that's mine, and we'll get you on there and you can help give us your input on what we're going to end up with. All right.
Thank you. All right, there's a couple of matters here that we were going to have the general manager, Stephanie, discuss, but she's sick today, so I'll go over those matters with you. The first one being the fitness center, which Bob already talked about. It's done, and it looks awesome, so that's dealt with. I'm sorry? Legal. It's legal? Yep. Legal's good, too. Internet DSL. Okay. Everybody, the whole process has been turned over to IDS now. IDS is handling it, the billing, it's out of our hands and in their hands now. As far as I know, and Muff can probably confirm or deny this, but I believe everybody that paid for it and wants internet now is hooked up. There are issues, there have been a lot of issues that they've had to deal with on lots. Mine was one of them, because there's these boxes on some of our lots, I guess control 6 or 7 lots, and mine was one of the problem ones. And they were working on mine for half a day on the heat, and I felt really sorry for them. But ever since they've done that, personally, my internet's working great. And so I hope everybody else is experiencing the same thing with their internet that wants internet. And also, Frontier, you've probably seen them out working on the 79 a lot. They're bringing in, it's bandwidth, if I know correctly, it comes in, yeah. So the bandwidth will be improved by them by the end of the month. So once they do that, all of us will have even better internet service than we have now. And that should be done by the end of September. So I believe that's where we're at with the internet. Now security, we've been getting competing bids here for Securitas, and Stephanie was going to talk more about this, and we also got a bid on fencing. This really is going to be a 6-foot high fence. Yeah, the 2 rails go on top and then one at the bottom, so somebody can't stand on this and jump over is what we're saying. And we've got a bid on this going around the entire facility, and 440 acres is a lot of fencing. So as you can imagine, it's not going to be cheap. Now what we want to do is have separate town hall meetings just dealing with security interests and needs, so we don't get into a big discussion about it now. But we'll have to vote on it because it's not going to be cheap. Something to the tune of $500,000 if we do it. So, and also we've got a bid from Securitas for putting up motion sensors around our soft areas, our really soft areas. The whole ranch is a soft area, but our really soft areas being the east and west fence lines, which seems to be where the bad guys come in the most. We got a price from them to put up a hard perimeter of motion sensors that'll go along the entire fence line. So what'll happen is once anything from a bad guy to an animal or whatever activates the sensor, it goes to a monitoring center, and they, within a matter of a couple minutes, call here, tell our security people or the police department, whoever we want them to notify that we have. And what'll happen is, going back a second, what they'll do at the monitoring center is analyze the threat. Is it a person? Is it a deer? Or is it a coyote? Or whatever it is. Analyze the threat, and then make a call as far as if we're going to call police or whoever we're going to call on that, and that's up to us who we want them to call. So we've looked at it. We got a bid for that. It's good. I really think we like it. It'll save us money, because we won't have to need the security guards, the personnel we have right now. It'll cost us more money to keep more bodies from Securitas here than would be to activate this new system and initiate it. Yeah, about 35. Yeah, and as we know, with the extra bodies we're having from Securitas costs us. If we cut that back, we could save some money, I believe. So, like I say, right? Yeah. So what we want to do is, we still got a couple more bids we're going to get. When we do that, we'll have a town hall meeting and give you all the fine points and really get you updated on that. But I just want you to know we're looking at ways to make this a harder target than it is right now. So I've talked to some people that just say the problem's going to go away. I've talked to some people that want to put up a 10-foot high chain link fence around the entire with barbed wire on top. We got to be reasonable about it and do something that protects us better. It's something we can afford to do too. It's something that really work. So that's where we're at with that. Anything else I missed? Okay.
On the fence, one thing we didn't mention is the reason we're going with 6 foot. If you go higher than 6 foot, you have to have major permits from the county, and it costs like 3 times as much. So we were advised that the 6 foot should certainly work for the hard perimeter, but none of this will be done until it gets voted on. So we're just looking into things. I wanted to report on the cafe and market. First and foremost, Scott Richgruber isn't able to be here today, but he has worked an untold amount of hours volunteering to try to, he and I, to get this project moving forward. We have no guarantee of anything, but it is, we're past the point of, we worked with the restaurant designer from the beginning to see what we needed to do to bring things up to code. We've almost finished all that. We have new paint, new furniture, new flooring, and yesterday I just got a letter from the county that we have to have our grease interceptor certified, whatever the heck that is. That our designer says that's no problem. All of our existing appliances in there, the fridges, the coolers in the market, the cold table, all of that have been checked. They're all in working order. Only one fridge was bad, and the ice machine was bad. It costs less to order a new ice machine, to put the bags of ice outside the market, which then gives the market more room to put more things for us to be able to buy. So that's a good thing. We're in the process of having a commercial cleaner come out and clean the stove and the equipment in the kitchen so that it's up to health code standards. That hopefully will happen next week. We are finalizing the lease with a prospective tenant. It's already gone through legal counsel, and the board is now just fine-tuning and tweaking a few things. We will have 3 TVs in there, a big TV above the fireplace, one on the one wall as you start to walk down the hallway, so it'll kind of be the bar area, and then one behind where the bar area is. The tenant at this point is planning on having beer and wine. He did ask, and I'll take a straw poll, if he thought it was worth his money, which is a lot of money, to do hard liquor there. Are any of you interested in the hard liquor part, or is beer and wine okay? Raise your hands if you're interested in the hard liquor. There you go. He just got it cheap. One. Yeah, there you go. I told him I'd take a poll. So then I do want to thank Lauren Eakes, if he's here. He's worked really, really hard on the flooring. He's a contractor. Yeah. He only has an arm. He has no more knees and back. But it's looking beautiful. He's done a great job. And Boyd Cox, and we're able to hire Boyd Cox, our resident plumber, and he's done an awesome job. Allied Electric, who kind of tends to be the resort electrician, has stepped up and given us some great ideas of things that needed to be dealt with and done, and they ran all the wire for the HDMI cables and speaker wires for the TVs, so that's all done. We've got that, and then we're still in the process of getting bids to repair, clean, and paint the outside of the building. We have to have a 36-inch fence, wrought iron fence, and that material has been delivered, and that will go completely around the outside of the patio. That should be starting to be installed next week. So, there you go.
That's so you can't take it for drinks now, right?
So you can't, because the ABC requires it to be fenced so that they can service food and beer and wine out there. Okay, so that's what we have so far. We have, for activities, I want to let you know we have tacos and tunes scheduled for Halloween, Saturday, the 28th. We have booked the Nitro Express that everybody had so much fun a couple weeks ago, for December 2nd again here in the main clubhouse, so put that on your calendars. We have Sol Diego for New Year's Eve. Still need a caterer. If somebody could help me find a caterer, that would be awesome. Also, we need help with both the homeowners dinner, catering, and music. So I could use some help in the activities portion if anybody wants to help me with that. Louise Chicarelli's done a great job finding the bands and stuff for us, so I'm still working with her. And then one last thing is we're looking at putting in a bocce ball court over by the horseshoe pit. It won't be a professional exact one, but it will be so that we can actually go play bocce ball on flat ground and short grass. So we're moving forward on it. That's all I have for activities. Frank?
Hello, everybody. Just wanted to remind you that you did receive this with the ballots. It's your architectural guideline. It is adopted as of August 25th. The one and only change we actually made, again, was the actual purchase of Home Depot and Lowe's style salt-based or potassium-based water softeners. We're not saying that you have to get rid of the one you have now. All we're saying is that you can't purchase a new one from that point on. You're able to use the one that you have. When it's time for it to be replaced, we just request that you use the closed-based system. We're not able to recommend a particular vendor. That is something that's out there. There's been a list of them, 6 or 7 of them, I think, for you to research on your own or talk to your neighbors who have gotten some and like what they have. Excuse me. So that was the reminder there, so that anything that you do on your lot, remember to look through this. If you have any doubts, there's definitely gray areas in this thing. It can't come up with every little thing that goes on. You can always come see me. I'm actually in charge of the architectural committee. You can come and talk, and we can discuss what it is that you'd like to do, and find out if it's capable of doing within the guidelines. The other thing I want to remind you also, which will also be talked soon with the night watch that's going to be coming up here, within the architectural guidelines, for those of you that have either been gone or haven't been doing this, that there is a section in here, page 16, 525, does specify that your lot identification structure with lot number must be visible from the street. It's, and lit. It's for safety purposes, it's for identification, police, fire, all those other things. That way we can guide them to those locations. And if you have a light on top of your pedestal, besides, because some of them have redone it and just put a light that covers their numbers. If you have a light on top of the pedestal, it also states that it must be on a light-sensitive timer and shall not be disconnected, even when the lot is unoccupied. I do know, and I couldn't tell you the lots, but some people have physically shut their breakers down so that they don't have to pay the electric bill of 10 or 20 bucks a month to keep their, if that, to keep their electricity off. But in the guidelines, it states that you must leave it on. It's, like I said, it's a safety purpose deal. It's for safety reasons, for police, fire, and all those others, so that we can identify where you're going. I believe that's all I have. So, like I said, you'll get more information on that with the Night Watch. They're going to be standing up here in a bit to explain their stuff. So.
Okay, hopefully they're starting to wrap up over there, and we'll get that announcement in a moment. I do want to make a comment regarding the voting extension, which don't know that it's been done before. It hasn't been done in the 10 years I've been here. However, Davis Sterling specifically talks about when you have to have a supermajority of voters, they recommend because let's see, let me read this direct. Because of approval requirements in older documents can be unreasonably high and apathy among voters equally high, obtaining the necessary number of ballots in the 30-day balloting period is often impossible. The board may extend balloting one or more times to solicit ballots in an attempt to maximize participation. Also, because associations are burdened with these quorum requirements, the boards must nag, cajole, and beg people to vote, and sometimes offer incentives. They recommend there's a raffle. There's nothing illegal or improper about raffling off 1 month's dues, gift cards, bottles of wine, or a dinner at a local restaurant. 1 month's dues is the easiest and can be done by just simply crediting the owner's account. That is what we've chosen to do on this one, and hopefully you all voted and are in the drawing. Since the raffle is being used to meet the quorum requirements rather than raising money, we do not need to register it with the Attorney General's office. So, there we go. Mary, how you doing up there? How we doing? We're not quite there. Okay, no worries. We'll just keep going through the agenda. Frank, I'll let you go ahead and announce what if either of the amendments pass.
Okay. Assuming any of the amendments do pass, what we do have is to announce is that if we have a 10-year rule pass, technically the 10-year rule still stays in place. The only thing we're saying is that we're going to allow rigs that are older than 10 years on an inspection basis. We will form a task member or committee of homeowners in order to do this, which will also be headed up by a board member and or GM if need be. And then you're going to follow a rigorous format so that it's not subjected to someone's opinion. There's a format that you're going to have to follow in the checkoff list. And so the checkoff list, there's quite a few of them. And if once we form the committee and you think of something different, that's fine. We can interject those things. RV is to be cleaned and polished. No peeling or paint of decals. And I'm just kind of briefing these things. There's a few more things in there that just kind of go on. No apparent non-professional paint job. No unsightly dents to the body or bumpers. Tires appear to be in good condition. Ribs or hubcaps are all in good condition. They're matching. They're not an offset. No cracked or broken windows. Motorhomes have side mirrors. There's also going to be awning, has no obvious tears or damage to them. They should be in working order. Hems and awnings are properly sewn. Rubber seals around the slides. No leaky fluids underneath the RV. Engine and motors shall not be overly loud, so they should be operating in smooth condition. So these are some of the things that we've come up with. Like I said, there could be more, there could be less, depending on who's on the committee that we can discuss with. If someone is off-site, out of state, any other place, and requests to come in, they have to send photos. No less than 6, I would think. You figure you got 2 per side, 1 front and back, and you probably want overall views of each side also. So you're talking 8 minimum. You probably can get more. So they're going to have to pass that test to be able to come in first. Then if the appearance looks like they're okay to come in, they still have to come here. They still have to go through this list. So they could take a picture of somebody else's rig and then show up with something else. So those are the things that we have to go through. So it's not a done deal just because they send us this stuff. So then the committee can make a recommendation, so that the idea is that no one person makes that decision. So somebody can't say, well, you let so-and-so in, how come this one doesn't come in? We've had many years of the 10-year rule being as strict as it is, that we've had to turn down a couple of prevosts that they were 11 and 12 years old, that were 11 and 12 years old, that are more expensive than most of our stuff brand new is, and look better than some of the stuff that's here. So that is the purpose for this, is just so they have an inspection sheet. Nobody can say, you let this person in and how come this person can't come in? So it's subjective. You do this list, pass or fail. That's all it is. There's no, yeah, it's okay, no, it's not. Does it pass? So that's where we're going with that. Like I said, eventually once we find out whether or not it passes, we would definitely take names, come up with the committee, and then we can discuss all the things that we have set up. Thank you for Fairway for coming up with actually this list that they actually did for themselves. So they actually helped with bringing that forward for us, for you guys, for this 10-year rule to come into play. So thank you guys for making this up, and I think I'm good.
I just want to add to what Frank said, and that is if any of the 2 items pass, it doesn't become legal at that point in time. It doesn't become legal until the amendment is actually filed with the county and it becomes part of the public record. So that may take an extra 30 days, depending on how fast the county of Riverside is.
This is not on the agenda, but I do want to bring it up. I put a few forms out here. It's called Vial of Life, out on the table, and there's a website, vialoflife.com, to go to. I recommend, strongly encourage everyone to do this. You put this, they will send you free stickers, or you can just simply print off the paper ones. And you can go in and fill out the medical form to let responders or anybody know any medications you're on, your emergency contact numbers. We had an incident just recently in the middle of the night. Well, the emergency contact numbers are in the office, but it was 2:30 in the morning. Nobody was in the office. And the board probably wasn't willing to get up in the middle of the night to go check. We could have, we wouldn't get the call. Anyway, so you can fill this out. What I've done is I have this on my front door. And it said that alerts emergency responders or whoever is there that you have this information on hand. Then I put this form that I filled out, and you can go in and fill out the form online and type it in so you don't have to worry about writing it, in a freezer safe bag inside my freezer door, so it's right there, and my medical card. It's real easy to do. It's a simple thing to do. It's easier to do it now than when you have a problem. So, and then this sticker would go on the outside of your window on your rig to alert people. So if you have any questions, just see me after the meeting.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick, before she passes on. After being in the fire... She's going. That's why she spilled it out. No, real quick. After being in the fire service for 26 years, let me tell you, please type that if you're going to fill one out. We cannot read chicken scratch. Let me tell you, it's very hard to do that when people pull stuff out of their wallet with a little piece of paper and they've written down all their medications, and the only one who can read it are doctors, because that's the same chicken scratch that they use. So please.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say, since the neighborhood watch team went into effect, as far as I know, there have been no thefts reported. Am I correct? Yes. And I just want to say they've done an outstanding job, just absolutely outstanding. Thank you. So what I'd like to do at this time is have Yvonne, who's the coordinator, come up and she can talk about the team and where are you going?
Can I have Bill Dawson and Ken up here, please? Well, good morning. My name's Yvonne Ojeda, and I am one of the leaders for the Neighborhood Watch Team, as we call ourselves, the NWT. And beside me are my two other leaders, is Ken and Bill Dawson. And Bill Dawson, I can tell, retired sheriff, so I go to him for a lot of legal and a lot of advice. And I just want to let you know we have 28 members on this team. We started on July the 8th, and I'm hoping to get more in the near future because we definitely need more. Our goal is to make a deterrent to any outsiders that are coming into this resort that don't belong here. This team patrols 7 days a week from midnight to 5:30 in the morning, and there's many of us that patrol 2 to 3 times a week. Unfortunately, the last couple of weeks, we've had some intruders come in the resort, and a text went out. I had 15 other members come out, and that day we did not get hit. It was taken care of, and we scared them off. Now, we believe we are being scoped, and so we're on it, and it's been 2 months, and we have not been hit. Now, unfortunately, being that a lot of owners are starting to come back from being gone, we do expect that some will be hit, but we will not know until they come back. You see what I'm saying? They might have been hit by what? Yeah. Now, I wanted to. There are ways that you can protect yourself from being the victim. Get motion lights. Put them all over your build out, inside your build out, especially those with all your shades down. When we flash our lights in there, we can't see anything, and we're not going to go on your lot. Now, some I've seen in the 500s and the 300s, somebody has a lamp inside their build out, and with that lamp shining, we can actually see in. So that really helps. It'll help you, and it'll help us. And also, too, you can get these solar lights, motion lights at Home Depot, Amazon, and also we have sirens. You can get the sirens for $30 on Amazon. And you can also get cameras. Some people here have the Ring. That works really well. A couple of us have the Zumoto. We got that on Amazon. There's 4 cameras, and it's for $100, and it can go right on your phone. I can check inside my rig, I can check all over on my phone, and it will alert you when there's something's on, or somebody comes in, or whatever. Also, if you're gone, have your neighbor, have somebody check your lot every day. And most important, watch out for each other. If we're watching out for each other and being aware and looking out, that's going to help us to not be the victim. Also, too, we still have many dark lots, especially in the 500s. It's very dark. It's an easy in and easy out. And I'm asking everybody to please put lights up. I mean, we spend thousands of dollars on our lots, but nobody wants to spend $40 to put a light up. Do it. It's going to help you, and it'll help the team as we're patrolling. Okay? And for those who do have lights up and everything, we want to thank you very, very much. Now, the team is still in need of volunteers. If you would like to volunteer, you can talk to one of us. We do have monthly meetings that we get together. We have our own Facebook page, so that it's just for the team only. Even if you can just volunteer one day a week, it'll help us for those who are patrolling 2 to 3 days a week and losing some sleep. If you are very interested, we would love to have you on this team. Thank you. Are you Eddie?
Okay, I just wanted to mention one thing. There's been some talk about owners possibly shining flashlights on what we call the compound or the encampment over there. My personal feeling on that is that we shouldn't be poking the bear, because if we poke the bear, that bear is liable to come at us for retaliation, and there's no point in doing that. We know from what we are doing out here at night that they're running back and forth in the wash, possibly attending to something illegal that's going on over there. Am I okay, Muff? Up here, okay. If they're doing that, that's nothing that we can control. We're not DEA, we're not LA Sheriff or Riverside Sheriff or anything like that. We can't control any of their illegal pot growing or anything like that. We should leave them to that. What we want them to know is that they can't come on here. So I think we should be passive about what they're doing illegally out there, but very aggressive if they try to come on the property. When I say aggressive, I don't mean attack them. I mean let them know that we're here with our flashlights so that they know they can't come on here. Oh, yes. So we have several spots that we have found that we surveil at night. And they're across the street at the area of the post office, the store, and the realty office over there. And they back in and face us. We think they're using that as an outpost, as a night watch, or as a watch, to watch us to see what we're doing, to look for our flashlights. So we're very careful with what we do, and we're surveilling them in turn. We have night vision, we have binoculars, and very bright flashlights. So we're keeping an eye on that.
Just while you guys are up there, it sounds to me like we know who the perpetrators are.
Wait.
Okay. It sounds like to me like we know who the perpetrators are. I mean, what's happening to those people? I mean, if we know who they are and they've been identified and the sheriffs have gone up there and they're still coming in here, I mean, what legally is happening to them?
Well, the ones behind here, I mean, there's a lot of tweakers, you know. As far as the compound, do you want to talk about that? Okay, so as far as the compound, it has been addressed, and we are in close contact with the sheriffs that are on that right now. In fact, this guy right here will be the liaison for us. If you got the email from the GM a couple of months ago, The sheriffs are supposed to raid there within 50 to 60 days. The three brothers that live up in the house did not show up for their court date. And so they have a warrant. So they have 60 days will be coming up in October. Now, Chris, who is one of the officers, code enforcement, he goes up there. In fact, they just made a run last month. But he's supposed to be going every 15 days. So that's to be honest, they're never going to go away. They own it. The brothers own it. They're trying to get rid of them, but we do know that there is, Muff, help me out, a girl and two other guys that moved up there. And I guess I can say last night around 9 o'clock, one of the tweakers tried to get in here. She was behind one of the owners that were coming through the gate. Our security, Tom, came out, and our owner did not open up the gate. He stood there, and Tom told her to get out. She was very, very high, and she left, and she went right up to the compound. So right now, we're still being scoped, and that's what I mean. She could have came in here, started scoping the place. Who knows? The reason why the small clubhouse is closed and you have to use your codes to get in is because we had a meeting, we walked out, and Ken and I saw this guy come in. He did not look like he belonged there. I walked in, pretend I was trying to find a shirt. He went in there. The guy was using the ATM. So after he was done, Ken talked to him and said, "Oh, where do you live?" He goes, "I live over there," meaning the compound. As he left, Lacey took off. She saw everything was going on. The reason why she didn't come in, because she wanted to make sure where he was going. She took off, we took off, he went right to the compound. And that is why the small clubhouse is locked, and you have to have a code to get in and out for your safety and ours.
It hasn't been too long ago that someone broke in and took the change machine.
That was over a year ago.
No, and just say, if you're going to the restroom or the laundry room, and somebody's behind you and you don't recognize them, and I've done this, don't let them in. If they say, "I don't know the code," you need to call security, because it's happened to me. And I wouldn't let him in. I felt terrible. I didn't know him. I didn't recognize him. And they really didn't look like they belonged here. Another thing, too, is to make sure the door's shut.
Any other questions? Yes.
I think another thing that we have to do,
Wait, stop.
that's a stop sign.
We'll have,
If you have a question, go to the mic. I can't walk.
Okay, here, I'm coming.
Bring the mic.
Hello. I think one thing everybody has to do also, though, and it's become apparent as we've hired another security guard, is like if you're coming in through the gate, especially the owner's gate, and there's no guard, excuse me, in the building, don't leave until the gate's closed behind you. Because our car's always lined up from time to time. You don't know who's in those cars. If they have a beeper, they're going to get through anyway. It might be an inconvenient, but we shouldn't be letting people into the compound that can't or should not be in the compound. And again, quite often, in fact, the majority of the time, especially during the day, there's only one guard there, or there's nobody in the guard shack. So just wait till the gate closes behind you, and they can open up the gate once you leave.
Any other questions?
Terry and I were doing laundry one day, and we went up to put the code in the door, and we had forgotten it because we're old. Anyway, somebody drove by and yelled the code out to us. So I'm like, really? So don't do that. If somebody's at the door, even if you think you might know us, I mean, that's a safety issue too. So don't yell it out to people.
Was it a tweaker?
And real.
Just one quick comment about the small clubhouse. All of those doors in the back, those French doors, half of them are falling apart. I don't know how easy it is to get in there, but if you look at the wooden stuff, it's terrible. That'd be an easy access point, I would think.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Real quick, a comment. Yes, there are motion sensors on the small clubhouse. So, but yeah, those doors are pretty bad shape. They need to be replaced. It's just another expense, you know. The unfortunate reality is that, in reference to your question, is these bad guys that live around here now, eventually they'll move away, they'll get arrested, they'll go away. But there'll be somebody right behind them to replace them. That's the society we live in today. And that's why we're looking at things like the fencing, the sensors, because we have to look long-term wise. And like I say, when those folks are gone, somebody's going to come behind them and they'll have a brand new bunch of bad folks to victimize us. So we have to look long-term at how we're going to solve these problems on that basis and in a cost-efficient way. So that's what we're looking at with the fencing, with the sensors and stuff. So, okay. I guess we have 4 questions after the meeting. Mary, where are we at with the vote? Still working on it? Okay. All right. As most of you know, we talked about before in other meetings that we had a committee to rewrite the new owner's handbook and develop something for renters. So when renters came in, they would have a list of things that would be important for renters. They don't need to know all our CC&Rs and all that stuff, not necessary. But we did need something for renters to come in where they're staying for 3 days or a week or a month or whatever. So we formulated a committee of which Yvonne was in charge of. So she's going to give an update on that committee too, please.
Okay, so we have 4 women on the committee. We are done with it, and the board just has to approve it. We updated a lot of, I don't know if any of you had received the old handbook. It was a complete mess. So we redid it, and we updated rules and regs and just kind of redid it and put all the information, all the forms that all owners need is going to be in there, and landscaping, everything's going to be in there, rules and regs, and the only difference, and there'll be a special letter just for the owners on what to do, electricity and so on, and it goes right down the list. Now, something's new is going to be the renter's letter, and it's going to be just for renters. And hopefully what happens is when they come in, security will also give it to them, and we want security to show them, have them read, there's certain parts in there that are very important. They are to, in front of security, they are going to initial it, and then security was going to write down, Mr. Smith, read, sign, and put the lot number, so then we know, so they know they read it and they understand the rules.
Question.
I have a question.
Get up there.
Wait, you gotta get up.
Hold on,
I can come up. Thank you.
I'm already on my way.
Yeah, my question is that on the Rancho California RV website, would it be possible, under that real estate section possibly, that you have a tab that's for renters? And what would be good to put there is these rules, so people see up front before they even try to come here. Here's your basic rules, and even something about the 10-year rule and the inspection sheet. So again, that people who are looking to come in here to rent, that they already know what will be expected of them.
Good, yeah, that's a good idea, and of course we'll have to look at that and check with the webmaster to make sure it's all possible, which I'm sure it is, so.
Okay, the voting is now being completed and tabulated, so we'll have Mary come up and get the results.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for voting, and I would especially like to thank those people who went out of their way to solicit their neighbors, sign proxies, do whatever they could to help us get our quorum. The quorum was 444 is what we needed. We got 455 total votes. We needed yes votes. We needed 50% plus 1, which would have made 229 votes. For the replacing the amendment on the 10-year rule, we had yes 393, no 58, and on the adding the amendment for the super class C, we had 334 yes and no 117. So both of them passed, and pardon me, I would also like to mention my crew, Carol Dalton, Janice Harris, Carolyn Haberstedt, Ro Goldberg, Lisa Jones, and John Ponsler. We are still doing some cleanup work. We have a couple ballots that we can't add into the totals here until we go back and finish up our count, but it won't change the totals. I mean, both issues passed. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
With the conclusion of the balloting, the CCNR's amendments or CCNR amendment will be recorded with the county. Please note that the 10-year rule and Super C motorhomes will not take place until the county has recorded the amendment. So you know, what's the time process for that? Within a month? Okay. Okay, so until they're both recorded, then we can't begin doing it because it's not legal yet until they're recorded. Okay.
Petra, would you like to come up here and help? We now are going to do the drawing for those of you that qualify for the drawing. Petra will either choose a number or take the bowl around, and then Mary will have to verify that that is a valid vote because we just put 592 things in here. So if you can either pull it or have somebody else pull it.
Who wants to? You do it.
Pull your number.
I didn't win on bingo last week. Oh, it's close. Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, I'll just. Okay, 445, did they qualify? They qualified? Miles. Okay, so Miles will receive a free month's rent. We will credit their account. Don't have to be present to win.
Okay, well, thanks, everybody. Okay, so that's done.
We're going to go into the questions now.
Questions?
Okay, so I will read the questions and the whole board will answer. Bob Bachmal at 94 would like to know how many wells are actually functioning at this time.
To the best of my knowledge, which I think I'm accurate, 5, we have 11 wells, and all but 5, I think 5 are dry. So, yes, correct, yes.
Okay, we also were requested if somebody is going to take over the market, and I apologize, the same tenant with the market is going to be the cafe, and they're already involved in talking to us about what we want to have in there. It'll be real similar to what we did before. They're real open to taking reasonable suggestions, so once things get open as far as the menu and all that, I think they will certainly be reasonable to work with us. Another question, K. Leffel, 260, maintenance building relocation must be voted upon per lots of owners. Does the board disagree with this? I will say yes, the board does disagree with that because we have no place else to put it. And because it's has to go somewhere, there's nowhere else to put it but where we're going to out front. We've already had that discussion months and months ago. And I don't understand what you mean by has the board investigated what is required to change the plot map. I don't know what you mean.
According to the CCNRs, in order for the plot map, which is in part of the CCNRs, if you change anything on that map, it has to have a supermajority. And, okay, well, that's what people here think, so.
Well, that could be an interpretation of it, but we've talked to our attorney, who's a pretty sharp guy, and he disagrees with that, so.
As we mentioned earlier, they also said that the county wasn't going to allow us to put it there anyway. So,
Next question, K Leffel 260, update on the CCNR rewrite was not discussed. What is the status, Bob?
The status right now of the CCNRs is that we are reviewing what the committee put together. Unfortunately, the electronic copy that we got didn't have any of the myriad of changes that the committee and the board had agreed to. So I'm having to go back from page 1 and make the changes as per agreement. Unfortunately, for the committee, I guess, since we didn't get the latest version of the CCNRs from them, and I've had to go back and make changes. My changes may or may not be what they agreed to, but it's at least something that the board has agreed to. One of the reasons it has taken so long, that is the primary reason it's taken so long. The other reason is that it's time-consuming, and I personally don't have enough time to sit down 40 hours a week and review this. So I review as much as I can when I have time to do it. The other reason, I guess, is it wouldn't make any difference to have it completely reviewed and rewritten, since we're now thinking about making some changes to it, so with the authorized vehicles. So we haven't forgotten about the CCNRs. It's just taken longer than anyone has anticipated. Oh, another question from Kay Lawful. Do the management fees of $3,750 month to date, I guess that's a monthly fee, or $30,000 year to date, include the GM salary? No, they do not.
Okay, with that, we will allow people to come up here and have a 2-minute question. If anybody has anything else to say?
We just walk ahead.
Yeah, you have to come up here and talk in the mic, please.
Your name and your log number and then your question.
Okay. Al Osterhout, Lot 125. Just to get some clarification on that 10-year rule, does that mean that you can sell a rig that's over 10 years if it falls under that criteria? If it's 15 years old and it's in good shape, can we still sell it within the community, or?
Yeah, that's a yes and no question. I would recommend, if you want to sell a 10-year or older rig, that you have the committee look at it, approve it, then you're clear to go, yes.
Then you're clear to go.
That meets the criteria.
It still has to meet the same criteria, but you just don't have to pull it out back in.
Okay. Excuse me. And then another thing on this, just a thought as we're talking about it, with this fence, you said possibly $500,000 for this fence around here. And I don't know, I'm just sort of thinking, I hate thieves. I mean, there's nobody that despises them more than me. But it seems like a lot of items that are taken here are $100 items, $200 items. It seems to me $500,000, which is like $1,000 on everybody as far as an assessment. Can't we have a fund or something that would pay for that $50 item? Or, I mean, we could pay for a lot of things that are stolen for $500,000.
Yeah, the answer to your question is it's an opinion on my part, is, and this is from a law enforcement point of view, is that the thefts that are occurring here, other than the break-in to an actual fifth wheel break-in, which is a burglary and a felony, the thefts that have been occurring here have been propane bottles, alcohol, steaks, stuff like that. Petty theft items, and in a big scale of Riverside County, it's nothing. Okay. If it happens to you, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I got it. But in the big picture of life, it's really not much. So, to answer your question, is a $500,000 fence worth it? That's what we gotta have a vote for, to find out.
Okay.
It's up to the owners. If the owners want to do that, we can certainly do that. If it's not worth it, then we don't do it. So It's up to what people want to do.
Okay, I just didn't know if we could have like an insurance fund within ourselves where
Well-
we pay a $50 a year or, you know, and something's taken, it's reimbursed.
To repay the victim, you're saying?
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, just something less than
Well,
$1,000
yeah,
per person.
okay, I see what you're saying.
So just a thought.
Okay.
Thank you.
One of the things that most people don't realize about this particular fence that we're looking at, and this is just one of them, is that we actually got a substantial savings going to the actual person who makes it. We didn't go to a fence company to do it. So this fence can technically cost $750,000 to over $1 million if we went to an actual fence company. So this $500,000 is an actual savings to us. We got it direct from the dealer, and we got special, we got another company to come in and actually do the work. So the labor was actually reduced cost, the fence itself was actually a reduced cost. So just know that that $500,000 for that is a substantial savings for what we could have paid for it.
And also, one second, Claude. We also got a price on a 6-foot chain link fence around the entire facility, about $250,000 for that. And to me personally, this resort is a beautiful resort, and a chain link fence around it would look like crap. So, yeah. So that's just that's my opinion. Yeah. Now that fence is not a bad looking fence, but the chain link, I don't think so.
All right, thank you. I have kind of like an update on some of the stuff we're talking about today. The Wi-Fi, we were talking about Wi-Fi, there will be Wi-Fi in the restaurant also. So those who like to drink cappuccino and get on the internet, that'll be available. And then they are also in the small clubhouse, as you know, and then the big clubhouse also. One thing with IDS.
Claude, let me just mention, the tenant will be paying for the Wi-Fi at the market and the restaurant.
Right.
We won't.
No, I forgot what I was going to say. IDS. Okay, IDS. How many people, and I know by hands, I'm sure I've asked this question before, how many people have had problems with Wi-Fi? Okay. How many people have called and talked nicely to IDS about it? Okay, not quite as many hands. Okay, the nicely is on your part. But the real important part here is call IDS, because what we're doing is we're tracking and grabbing them or typing them, and yes, you can either email them if that's more convenient. But please tell us what's going on. Don't tell me, because I'm not IDS. I'm contracting with them to do work with them. But call IDS. If you can't get a hold of anybody on the weekend, just leave your name and a message, and somebody will probably come out there and fix it. Not at 6 in the morning, no. Okay? So that's one thing. The second thing is if we have people who volunteer help each other, and I think the key thing. The main thing I've seen going out on patrol is the darkness of the lots. And I think we've all understood that that's really, that's inviting people into your lot you don't want. So I think that's a big thing. The thing that kind of draws me back into why are we doing this question is I have in the clubhouse been there and seen people come in with the code and get stuff out of the money machine, or in this case, go into the kitchen part with a empty jug of water and fill it up out of the water machine in there, the cool water machine. And I traced them back to where they live. There is no RV on that lot. There's a car, but there's no RV on the lot. So that lets me believe that he's living there. And he's kind of a seedy looking guy to boot, okay? I also know there's another one on the same street living in the backyard, and possibly a third one up on a circle. So my concern is, are we really wanting this to happen? Do we want to make this from a resort to a trailer park? But that seems like that's leading the way, doesn't it? So I would ask the board if they would look into that and see if there's something we can do about it. I've been told that the CC&Rs don't talk to that problem, or it's not a requirement that they can't. So, but I would like to get everybody's information get the information to everybody here to say, let's think that over and see if that's something we really want to have happen here.
Yeah, well, if that issue will be addressed in the rewrite of the CC&Rs, and also that is the reason we're locking that door, because now they got to go through the office, past the girls at the desk before they get back to the kitchen, so. Well, the punch code, yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, we've already done the punch code. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it.
A key would not work, Kathy, because we have 592 owners, mostly times 2, that would have to have that key. So that's why we have the codes on the door. I mean, there are going to be those few that take advantage of things, and we try to catch it. We try to tell them if we catch them. That's why we took the water out of the kitchen for a long time. And the guys in the fitness room were complaining, so we made the determination that it was, hopefully somebody's not going to steal that water. But it was more important for the people that are using the fitness room to have some. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah, regarding the fence, you're talking enclosing the entire park, including the small clubhouse, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no more walk-ins.
Where the white fence line is now, they have to be replaced by the
Okay, so chain link's half the price of that. Okay, the whole backside over there and across the top, nobody can see except from the moon. So you could do half and half and
We're
save
talking
some
about
money.
a combination of the attractive fence where people can see it and ugly fence where people can't see it.
Thank you.
Back to the thieves. Being on night watch and driving through the park at night, and with the flashlight on, we see a lot of propane tanks just sitting out there, and we're coming into winter season. In the last 2 winters, we've had issues with propane tanks being stolen. And there's many of them that are just sitting on lots in broad daylight. Please hide them, otherwise they're going to end
And
up...
actually, Tracy, that's a violation of CCNR stuff.
What?
Cylinders sitting out like that.
Well, there's a ton of them.
So,
If you
I'm just saying.
do the back swipe through the path from the back of lots, propane tanks just
I shouldn't
sitting
say
around.
CCNRs, I mean architectural guidelines. It's a violation, so.
Don Rhodes, Lot 173. Regarding the security, I think everybody's talked about a lot of great things. Seems like the lighting and the motion detectors and all of that. I'm a little concerned, I don't have really opinion yet, but $500,000 is a lot of money no matter what the discounts are. My biggest thought, and I have some thoughts really, my first concern and thought is that I think if I had a Sawzall, I could cut through something fairly easy. Yeah, I'm sure it is. And you guys who've been in law enforcement know a lot about that kind of stuff. And chain link fence too, boom, 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 boom. I lived in Temecula for 28 years, and when I was up here more, and not down at my house, we were having break-ins, same thing, right and left. Big, huge locks, people just snapping them and everything. So.
That's heavy, solid metal.
Is that the actual?
That's it.
Yeah. See, I don't think that's that thick. I'm not really that impressed by it. I'm not saying yay or nay, I'm just saying, I think a Sawzall.
Well, it would take a long time, it'd be very noisy.
But chain link is the same. So a lot of the preventative things seem like, where are we going to get your most bang for your buck? So that just has some, yeah.
Also,
I think those are good too.
Yeah, there you go. Also, the motion lights are really, really good because we are considered a dark community because of Palomar. So we don't want to just have this whole place always constantly lit up. So the motion sensor lights, as people come onto the lot, in my personal opinion, are best. And you can also get those at Costco. I have 6 of them on my little lot.
Yeah, and then there's the going through the gate. Someone commented on not letting everyone behind you. I thought that was really good. And that'll be something we have to address when the store and the restaurant open.
The only problem with that is you're putting somebody, an owner here, in the position of being law enforcement by regulating who's coming in behind them. A lot of people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
No,
saying.
I'm just saying. But we all got stickers too, so.
We're probably going to redo the stickers shortly too. We're looking into getting newer ones so that we can once again address that issue.
Okay, great. One comment on the fence as well. Mexico's got a heck of a fence, and that doesn't keep anybody from coming across. So I would hope we look at this very hard, because they'll find a way to get across that and, yeah, throw a rope. I mean, I don't think I know how to climb that. But any event, that's my thought, so I hope we do look very hard before we spend the money and look at alternatives. Yeah.
It'll be a vote. We're not just making a decision arbitrarily and do it. We're going to.
Right, okay. Just a quick note on the financials, a question in payroll expenses, if you go across and you look at the actual year-to-date number, the budget was $731,000, the actual $556. So there's a huge difference there, $176,000. And I guess I'd like an explanation as to how and why that's happened and how we're doing that.
In 2016, when I put together the budget, it was based on actual expenses. We had some high-salaried individuals leave the ranch, and were replaced with a general manager. And by the way, the general manager's salary is included in the payroll figures. I also put a hiring freeze on maintenance workers. I didn't say we couldn't hire them. I just said, well, if you need someone, let's talk to us about it, and we'll justify it, or you justify the need for that. So it is quite a bit less than last year. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I guess not on question or comment then. I'm concerned about our levels of management and operational standpoint. We're down to one. And in terms of if he doesn't show up on Monday morning, who's going to step in and run the operations of the ranch on Tuesday? And we had a couple people prior to that were in a position that had the knowledge to do that. I'm curious that even though we dropped expenses, having a good person there is a critical element for this size of a park and operation. I don't know who is interested in taking that position, but I don't think our Colonel General Manager has the experience to do that. I don't mind spending money if we're getting the right people, and we're not all trying to figure out who's going to do the work on Tuesday.
Well, our current manager does have quite a bit of experience with HOAs, and quite large HOAs on the commercial side. If she's gone a day, I don't think that's going to create that kind of an emergency where we need to have someone fill in for her while she's gone. So.
We also have Juan and Alejandro who are out doing the golf course and all the other maintenance areas, and in my opinion, they're doing a good job.
I'm not questioning whether they do a good job or not. My question is they're in the field, they're operational. As you move up to scale and there's other requirements to do other activities related to the operations of the park, you name it, maintenance, buying, you name it. I don't know that we have anyone between Stephanie, or if she's got the experience. I've made a couple of suggestions on ideas, and no one has really followed up on those possibilities of reducing expenses for the park, the nitrates, etc. And that's my concern. I recognize there's a lot of activity being done. I appreciate all that work, but that level of management concerns me the most.
Hello, Mike Odell, Lot 107. I just wanted to address the fence briefly. It is a very large expense. However, part of it would be absorbed by the less security that we need. And I would hope to think that would be assessed over a period of time, not a short time where it doesn't sting as much. Al, as far as the amount of expense of things that are being stolen is relatively small, and a fund would probably help that. But if you're one of the ones that have been hit, it's more of a violation of your privacy than it is the cost of what's being done. If there is no fence, I think we all recognize, give a mouse a piece of cheese, he wants milk, and they'll continue to come back in. That's my point.
I just want to follow up on that comment. I'm sure it's probably come into people's minds is that if we're looking at spending that kind of money, how's it going to be paid for? And as Micah said, this will be an item that gets voted on. And so what is it that you would be voting on? As I see it, and we really haven't had a chance to discuss it amongst ourselves, but we are pursuing several alternatives, and you would get to vote on which alternative you prefer or nothing. If we do choose a fence or something, and it needs to be, and it is a large ticket item, you will be given the chance to either have a one-time special assessment or assessment over a period of time. Or maybe no assessment at all, maybe we go outside and borrow the money. Or maybe we borrow it from ourselves. There's plenty of ways in which it might not come out of our own pockets.
Immediately.
Yvonne Ojeda, Lot 248. Just a reminder, 2 years ago, when we were just renters, that's when things were getting stolen. It was little things like alcohol and propane tanks. Okay, it has increased. We've had a golf cart taken, we've had tools, we've had TVs. We've also had, back in June of this year, somebody got into a rig. And that really put us vulnerable and really scared, especially me. And there's a lot of women here who live by themselves. And this is one of the reasons why this team does it, not only for us because we're owners, but we do it for all of you, especially the ones who live by themselves. And I want to say is, back a couple weeks ago, these fences are not keeping them out. In fact, the one guy who came in came through the fence over here by lot 25. The other time when lots 592, 591 got hit, they came right through the fence right here. We need something like that. Yes, it's expensive, I get it. As part of the leadership here for the team, that's going to help. And we don't need security guards like they said at night. It's going to cut down that. So really think about it, because we are really losing a lot of sleep. And I was up again last night because of a fire up there in the compound. And so we're out there, and I just want you to know that if we weren't out there, we would have been getting hit a heck of a lot more. Because there's been other people coming in that have been scoping us, and we were able to scare them off. But it could get bigger, and I don't want anybody else that an empty rig gets broken into, or if you're sleeping at night and somebody tries to break into your lot, especially for those women who are living by themselves. Thank you.
Ed Thomas, Lot 165. Yvonne, is there I'm a part-timer, but I'm certainly willing to take a shift when I'm here. Okay, very good. Another question, are we still entertaining letting the public use the restaurant?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are entertaining having the public use the cafe. We will have very large, bright colored stickers. They are to be instructed they can only park there. If they're caught going around, then their license plate will be taken down as they come in anyway, it will be, and they won't be allowed back in if we have to do that. It was open to the public before and it wasn't problematic. We can't make everybody park in the staging and walk over. Some people aren't able to do that, and we need to let the public in order to support the cafe to keep running. So it's a little bit of a catch-22, but we just have to make it very apparent. If we have to have people sign off that that's the only place they're going to go, if they get caught, they immediately get thrown out. So there's just, we have to be cautious.
Isn't that going to require having a security guard at the gate all the time that the restaurant is open?
Probably, yes, to monitor it.
So do you have enough security guards to do that?
Well, my personal vision, we've talked about it as a board, my vision for the security people is to have their butts planted in that box. That's what their job is, in my opinion, monitoring people coming in and out of the resort. Yeah. I don't really care about them driving around the resort. I
don't know what that does.
It's a feel-good thing. It makes people feel good. It solves nothing, in my opinion, especially in the daytime. So I want them working in the shack, monitoring traffic coming in and out.
I agree. The public's coming in. You
we
have
need
somebody there all the time.
Right. That's
okay.
My vision of what their job is.
That was my concern.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. We had a question that was sent to us before the meeting, and that was about a budget worksheet, that everyone's entitled to see it. I was kind of confused with the terminology because a worksheet means that a budget is in progress, and that wouldn't be available to everyone because it might not be the final draft of the budget. Everyone is entitled to a copy of the budget, which will go out annually with the year-end package.
Kathy Dickinson, Lot 87. I have two questions, if I can remember both. One is, when are you going to repair the large clubhouse kitchen? It is awful. For any activities that we have here, it's in awful condition.
That was just talked about recently, and we're going to start looking into what has to be done. We're not going to do it as a commercial kitchen because it's not going to be used like the cafe will be, so it won't be quite as strict to codes. But we are actually just had that conversation, so we're looking into what we have to have done. So we actually are looking at it.
Good.
We just had so many other big projects, you kind of have to
Well,
get something off the
Mike
plate.
Brown, when he was on the board, he had done.
Yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
we'll be talking to Mike.
Oh, good, okay. Okay, great. All right, second question is, you mentioned the maintenance building will be where the dog park is. Where are you planning on putting the dog park?
We'll have a rendering. The dog park will probably be relocated in the front area. There's many areas, there's no decision's been made. It won't be the whole entire dog park, it'll be farther back than that. It just needs to be part of where the dog park is where the facilities will be.
Oh, okay, just don't want that dog park gone.
That's an awfully big dog park, you know, but
Yeah, we have some
it's not going to
big
be
dogs.
there.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
it's going to be back further.
Well, it gets pretty full in the winter when everybody's here.
We won't know until we get started, but I can imagine, you can't just take like half the dog park and say that's, when we have that as a construction site, it's going to have to be completely off limits to owners from going in there, taking their dogs up there, because it's going to be a construction site. So how the details, we'll reveal the details of all of that when we work it all out, but we're not going to have you wandering around a construction site with your puppies. I wouldn't do that.
We're all dog lovers here, so. Mary, go ahead, she has something to add to the results.
Okay, we finished our tally, and our official count is replacing the amendment, the 10-year rule, yes, 395, no, 59, with one blank ballot. The adding amendment, 3.1.9 for the Super C motorhome, we have 337 yes and 117 no with the blank ballot. So I wanted to get those on record.
And everybody, please give Mary a huge round of applause. She has gone far and above to get this vote done and counted, and then she had to extend an extra month of picking the mail up every day for us for the ballots. So it's not an easy task being the volunteer on the elections committee.
Okay, one more question, and we can adjourn this. Frank, when Yvonne was up talking, did you have her on the 2-minute timer?
Yeah.
I would never put Yvonne on a timer. Okay, no more questions. We'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much.